Good morning, Year 9, the great students of HIS-Y International School. Welcome to a new online session answering the questions of past papers. Let's begin. Of course, we are answering questions regarding our biology curriculum. This is Dr. Ines, and today we will try to answer the difficult questions that we have faced during the previous homework and our previous answers in the past papers. I need you to have your past papers with you. I need you to have a pen to take notes with me. And now let's begin. What I've noticed from your feedbacks is that most of you have a difficulty in answering a common question in paper 6 regarding the table and the graph. And also, I noticed that most of you get confused if they found the described questions with the 6 marks. So today we will focus on these type of questions, as long as the questions that may be difficult for you in paper 3, one of you send me a difficult question that I'm gonna answer it today. So we will begin with paper 6, 2016, October-November, variant 1, question 1. You will find out that in most of the questions of paper 6, there will always be an investigation, and you will be asked about this investigation. You will be provided with the idea of the investigation, the steps of the investigation, and you will be asked to present what you have understood. And this is repeated all over the exams of paper 6. All what I need you to do is never to panic. If you find a long question like this and many steps and many drawings and so on, never to get panic, okay? And to relax. The main idea is to understand the principle of the investigation. What is the investigation about? Get out from the steps. What's your dependent and independent variable? What is the main dependent variable that you are going to measure in this investigation? And what is the independent variable that you are going to change in this investigation? Okay? And if you get out this information, you will be able to answer all provided questions. In this question, he's telling you that some animals have a body temperature that is higher than the temperature of the environment. As a result, these animals lose heat to the environment, causing their body temperature to fall. An investigation was carried out to find the effect of volume of the body on the loss of heat to the environment. So what is the idea of the investigation? Effect of volume of the body on the loss of heat. Let's see. The volume of the body of an animal in its temperature can be represented by hot water. Okay, good. So they are going to use a hot water by a certain volume representing the animal. In step 1, they got 250 cubic centimeter beakers were labeled A and B. Okay. And a line was drawn in beaker A, 6 centimeter from the bottom, and in beaker B, 3 centimeter. This means that this beaker has a larger volume than this one, so this represents the animal with a large volume, and this represents an animal with a small volume. Then hot water was added, and this represents the temperature of the animals. A thermometer was placed in the water in each beaker, and a timer started. The temperature of water was measured immediately in both beakers and recorded in a results table. The thermometer were left in the water throughout the investigation, And as you can see in figure 1.1, it shows the results of this investigation. Of course, this is the beginning of the experiment. This is the temperature after 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 and 5 minutes. In beaker A, that represents the larger volume, and in beaker B, that represents the smaller volume. This is the temperature at 0 at the beginning, after 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and so on. So by now, you should be able to mention what is the dependent and the independent variable. Okay, let's begin. The independent variable is the variable that I change. In this experiment, the variable that it changed throughout the experiment is time. So this is the independent variable, the main independent variable. And the dependent variable that I measure throughout the investigation is the temperature. I measure the temperature every minute. So this is the main dependent variable. Excellent. He's asking you to prepare a table in the space provided. And this is the first difficult question that you face. Okay, the rules, follow the rules. In order to prepare a table, you have to use columns, clear columns with heading. So you have to put the heading on columns, okay? What you will do is that you will represent table with 2 columns. The column on the left side will have the independent variable, and the column on the left side will include the dependent variable. We agreed that the independent variable that you change here is time, and the dependent variable that you measure here is temperature. Excellent. But we have another problem, which is we are using 2 models for the animals, A and B. It's okay. You can put it either in the left side, here, A and B, okay, or from this side, A and B, but it's better to put it with the temperature, A and B, and this will be it. So here you will write at the beginning, at 0, okay, temperature in beaker A was, it's 83. 83. While temperature in beaker B was, I guess, yeah, both of them was the same, 83. And then after 1 minute, so you write 1, the temperature was 81 here and 76 here, and so on. But take care. You have to write the heading on the table representing what you are, the numbers that you are going to write, like here, time per minute, as it's written here. Or he may be using time per second, as provided in the investigation. And in this heading, you will write temperature measured by Celsius, as here. Okay, and when you write the numbers in the next rows, you don't have to use a unit. You have mentioned the unit in the heading of the table, never to use a unit. And this will be your table. So, in order to draw a table in any question related to paper 6, all what you have to do is to mention the independent and dependent variable and put this one in here and this one in here. So this is regarding the first question. Another question that you always face, and you stand in front of it thinking about what you should do, is the question that has 6 marks and begin with the word describe. Okay, it's so easy. You will always be provided by an investigation or a hypothesis, and you will be asked to describe the steps that could be used to prove this hypothesis. Like here, some students were asked to test a hypothesis. What is the hypothesis? The colder the surrounding, the faster a small mammal temperature will drop. Describe how the student could modify the investigation described in steps 1 to 5 to test this hypothesis. It's so easy. Arrange your answer. First of all, you have to mention the procedure, how you are going to test for the investigation. First of all, how you are going to represent the volume of the mammal as provided to you, using the beaker with volume of water, cold water of course, okay? And then how you are going to represent the how you are going to adjust the volume, how you are going to adjust the temperature by adjusting the outer environment, by keeping the outer environment cold, and then by putting a range of dropping in temperature according to time. Every minute a thermometer will be put and will be applied inside the beaker with the cold water, and then temperature drop will be measured every minute. All of this I am talking about the procedure and how to measure, method of measure. And if you go back to the steps, you will find everything. So you can use the steps to represent your answer. You will say that you are going to draw different lines with different ranges representing the small volume of animals, okay, with a good range. You will say that you are going to use cold water representing the you use water with an adequate temperature representing the temperature of the animal, and then you will say that you are going to adjust the external temperature of the beakers by water pass to decrease the temperature gradually, and then you will mention how you are going to measure the temperature using a thermometer which will be added. You can take from this. So the first thing, you have to mention the procedure and how can you are and the method of measuring. Then you are going to stay the constant. Of course, here the constant is the you have to keep the volume stable. You have to measure in a constant intervals of time in order to be fair enough. So this will be the constant. Sometimes in some types of investigation you will need a control. What is a control? A control is a step in order that is used to compare with. Usually we use a control if we are testing enzyme action, chemical reaction, okay? So we can mention the control, but if it is not needed in the experiment, leave it, or even give a hint about it. In some investigation, we use the control to compare results with, and that's it. And then don't forget the repeated answers that you have to mention in any investigation, which is repeat and calculate the average. Sometimes safety procedure may be needed also in some experiments, like wearing the coat, gloves, goggles. In this experiment it may not be needed that much, so take care. We may not use control or safety, but we can focus on the procedure, constant, repeating and calculating the average, and you will find out that what you mention will exceed the 6 points. You have to make sure that you have mentioned 6 main points. 6 points like in adjusting the volume, adjusting the temperature, measuring the temperature, using intervals of time, how to keep other variables constant, repeating and calculating the average. You will find out that you have 6 points mentioned to gain marks, okay? So this is regarding this question. After that, we have another question in paper 6, okay? In this question, you are asked about another investigation, and again we are going to try to read it carefully and try to focus on the dependent and independent variable, how to mention it up, and how to represent your data. Okay, so let's begin. In this investigation, you are asked to, as you can see here, he is telling you that fruits such as apples and banana contain chemicals called polyphenol. Okay. An enzyme, polyphenol oxidase, is also present. It catalyzes a reaction when converts the polyphenols into brown colors compound. So this reaction will focus on the enzyme action. Okay, polyphenol that plus oxygen in the presence of this enzyme, it will turn into brown colored compound. Okay, so some students investigated the effect of pH on the enzyme. So this is the idea of our investigation. If the change in pH will affect this action. So what they did is that they were provided by one apple, distilled water, and 4 solutions labeled B, C, D, and E. Each solution had a different pH. And then they got 5 Petri dishes, A, B, C, D, and E, and they poured in each one of them 20 cubic centimeter of distilled water. And in Petri dish P, he added 20 cubic centimeter of solution B. So take care. In Petri dish A, we have 20 cubic centimeter of distilled water. Water with a neutral pH, okay? And then in B, we used the pH, the solution of B, and C, and D, and E. And they got their labels. We used a universal indicator and pH color chart to find the pH of each solution in the 5 Petri dish. Okay? And then we got the apple, 6 slices, separated, put to separate white tills, and the apple slices were cut, same size, and each one was chopped into small in order to expose it to oxygen. And then one of it was put in each of the solution, A, B, C, D, and E. And the crushed from the remaining was left uncovered, and this is used as a control. Here he mentioned the control. Then he put the he left it for 2 minutes, and then he removed the lid, and the liquid was poured away, leaving only the crushed apple. And then he repeated the steps with B, C, D, and D. Okay. The student looked at the color of the crushed apple slices at 0, 10, 20 minutes. So they looked at different times, okay, and they compared the color intensity. They had a chart for the color intensity. So Petri dish A contained distilled water with a neutral pH, and then we have B, C, D with different pHs, and then we compared the color intensity in 0, 10, and 20 minutes. So, in this investigation, what will be the independent variable that you are going to change mainly? Excellent. It will be the pH. Some of you told me, what about the time? Okay, the time, okay, I can change the measuring of the time at 0 and 10 and 20, but this is not what I change. What I change to test the activity of enzyme is the pH. Okay? And what is the dependent variable that you are going to measure? The dependent variable that I'm going to measure is the color intensity. So again, we will prepare a table. This table will have a left column and a right column. In the left column, we have the independent variable, which is the pH 7, 2, 3, 8, 9. Okay? And then in the right column, we put the dependent variable at different time intervals, 0, 10, 20. What about the Petri dishes? We can put it just beside the independent variable, like a pH A, B, and we put here C, D, and E. Okay, so we'll do it. And then we will put the reading or the color intensity. Take care. Headings are important. So you have to write here pH. You will write here Petri dish. You will write here only the color intensity that you will write with the numbers 1, 2, or 3 according to the color provided to you. Okay, so it will be like this. One of you can ask me, what about putting the Petri dishes here with the color intensity A, B, C, D, and E, and we put here the time, accepted. As long as this variable is not the main variable, it's accepted. The thing that is not accepted is to put the dependent variable here and the pH here. This is not accepted. But the other variables can be changed. So this is regarding this question, okay? In this question, again, he is asking you about an investigation. The enzyme and the substrate polyphenol can be extracted from crushed apple. It turned brown when the enzyme is present. Some students were provided with extracts of the enzyme and substrate, and they need you to describe a method that the students can use to find the optimum temperature. What is the optimum temperature? Is the temperature at which the enzyme is acting at the peak, the highest rate. Again, this is a question with 6 marks with the word describe, so you have to mention as much as you can. Procedure you are going to use and you can take from the steps. Methods of measuring, okay. What will be the constant and control, and of course you are here provided with a control, so it's easy to you to mention it, okay. And then repeat, and of course here we can use safety because we are using enzymes and chemical reaction. So when you are answering this procedure, of course you have to mention that you are going to use different range of temperature, how you are going to prepare this temperature range and the enzyme concentration, preparing the apples and the substrate, and then the method of measuring temperature at equal intervals, keeping other variable constant like the pH and so on, control, and repeat, and safety. And that's it. In this question, we are going to try to see how can we represent a data in the table in a graph. In another experiment, an enzyme was extracted from 2 different fruits. The enzyme extract were heated at 65 degrees for a total of 60 minutes. During this time, samples were removed every 15 minutes. The samples were tested to find out how much enzyme activity remained as much as we are increasing the temperature. Again, this is an investigation, so you have to understand what are you investigating. You are investigating the effect of temperature on the activity of enzyme. Okay? Increasing temperature, and what will be the independent variable that you change? Time, as long as with the temperature, of course. Okay, and what will be the variable that you are going to measure, the dependent variable? The activity, percentage of activity of enzyme. For 2 types of fruits, yes, apricot and avocado. So here we'll have the independent, and here we have the dependent. The same rule will be applied to a graph. If he asks you to represent data on a graph, first of all, you have to know that this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. In the x-axis, we represent the independent variable, which is the sample time per minute. You have to write the heading like this, clear, okay, and then we will here add the dependent variable, which is the percentage of enzyme activity remaining, and you have to write it, percentage of percentage of enzyme activity like this, and this will be your data. After that, you have to put a scale, an even scale between the squares, okay, that will include the range of numbers presented, like here sample time from 0 to 60, so you can use up 0, 15 or 0, 10. The rule says that you have to have numbers exceeding half of the x-axis that can be represented. So 60, the highest number, have to be more than represented here or here. If it is represented here, if you have interval 40, 40, 80, so 60 will be here, this is wrong. The highest value must exceed half of the x-axis. What about y-axis? The same rule. You see the range of numbers that you have, it's from 0 to 100. So you have to represent from the lowest in an even or equal intervals up till to the highest number that must exceed half of y-axis. You cannot put one here, like 0, 50, 100. Wrong. You can use 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Okay, as long as you are passing half of the x-axis, it's okay. And then you plot the dots. Your dots must be clear. Okay, you can put a dot or an X, and then you join dots with a ruler or with a clear line, unbroken line, and that's it. You are asked to present the data for the apricot and the avocado, and that's it. The last question that we are going to discuss is from paper 3, May, June 2017. Some of you sent me that this is a difficult question. This question is asking you to explain why the blood flow to the skin changes during exercise. So this question is asking you to write what do you know about the skin and what happens to the skin blood flow when you are exercising. You have to ask yourself, when I exercise, temperature inside my body increase. So the blood flow to my skin will change. And we have taken this. The difference in change in blood flow when temperature increase and when temperature decrease. What happens to the blood vessels when it's high temperature? Blood vessels under the skin will be vasodilated. What's meant by vasodilated? Increase in size. Why? To increase the blood flow. So the blood can carry the heat from your body near to the surface of your body, the skin. So it will be evaporated easily. So what will happen to the heat? It will evaporate. And this will be your answer. 3 marks, 3 points. What if I ask you what will happen to the skin if you are, the blood flow to the skin if you are cold? You will say vasoconstriction of vessels. Vessels will be narrower. So the blood flow will decrease, so you are not going to lose heat. And that's it. So by this, dear friends, we have reached the end of our presentation today. All what I need from you is to stay safe. This is your homework. We will have to answer 2 exams from past paper 3. Okay? I need you to keep calm, keep safe, and to enjoy your time. See you next time, inshallah. Goodbye.
Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep.